man, they're scheduling people. Sometimes they flake. There's all types of like back end work to edit the video, edit the reels, make the captions, upload the reels every single day in and day out. And then trying to like just continue to create content that's engaging. And then also accepting the fact that sometimes you might make the best interview, the best content, and you're only going to get like 50 views on it.
Yeah.
And then just taking that, just taking that hit and just, you just got to keep walking with it.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Untapped Potential Podcast, where we interview visionaries from the Pacific Northwest. Today, we're doing another roundtable talk to close out season 3.
Good season, man.
It's been a really, really great season. A lot of great guests, a lot of wide range of topics and industries that they work in. And I like the fact that we've been able to fit a lot of these roundtable talks too, because it's one of our most popular ones now, segments.
Yeah, man. I think we really turned it up this season, production wise. Brought a lot of amazing guests. We've always had amazing guests, but I think we're doing them more justice. We got more reels out. We've got this beautiful set. We've got new segments. We had our friend Real Vlogs, Carlos, come through, and we had that roundtable talk with him, which did great.
Yeah.
Not just in numbers, but I think I had a good time doing it. Right? You had
Absolutely.
a good time as well.
Yeah.
And man, I'm having fun with it. And we're 3 seasons in. This is episode 45, and I'm still having fun with it. And I think for me, that's what means the most.
Absolutely. And not only that, too, we've gone from season 1, we were in a kitchen table doing interviews. We started off between you and me, just doing interviews with each other. And then we upgraded to this whole set, we got a sign, we got all this equipment now. And so within, 3 seasons, we've gone through an immense amount of growth, and it's only episode 45.
Yeah, man. Someone called us a media company today.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy to me because, you can even cue the clips of season 1, man. We were so nervous. It sounded a little forced. We've grown a lot. That's what I could say for sure. And, I'm proud of us, man. I'm proud of us. And, I can't leave out our crew, our production crew, our girlfriends, really.
Yeah.
Darcy and Mireya, who are behind the boards controlling the sound and the video. It's a team here, it's more than just us and, our guests, the people watching, the people who've subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe right now. And, it's really a group effort, and I'm just really glad that we've made it this far.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. And who knows what season 4 will hold, but we'll continue to pump out these episodes. We enjoy doing them. So,
For sure.
So yeah, we want to give back to the community too, and bring on artists and other people that are influential in this area. Not only artists, I should say, but business people, motivational speakers, people that are from this area, the Pacific Northwest, because this is an area that doesn't get a lot of exposure. It's underrepresented, and that's the main goal behind our podcast, is to bring that to life.
Visionaries from the Pacific Northwest. I like that tagline.
Yeah.
Man, well, let's dive into the topics, man. We got some solid topics for today's roundtable.
So today's roundtable, I want to talk about an interesting development in this like AI, artificial intelligence, like space. I don't know if you've heard of it, Max, but they're starting to have AI generate images based off of prompts that you give it. Have you heard about that before?
I have, yeah.
There's like a lot of nuances with that, man. They have to like go and train the model and scrape through data.
Right.
And as like we continue on with this conversation around AI, artificial technology, and how it's, consuming the data that we give it, it's also susceptible to like the biases of our own society. And that's one thing that is really prevalent in like all these research studies that they're doing, is it's reinforcing whatever we train it to do.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I think about it, I think of Google right away. When I think about AI, I think about Google, Facebook, those big tech companies. And one thing that I've kind of noticed that has been going on for a while now is, those little CAPTCHAs, those little things that you gotta like click on images. From what I understand is you're actually clicking on those images because you're teaching the AI how to identify certain things in a picture. Yeah, so it's getting you to verify that you're a human, but in doing so, you're showing this computer how to be more human.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
That's mind blowing to me. I didn't
know
ever
that?
hear of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I've heard, but now I think it's going on a bigger scale. I think they're actually using all that they have. We have stronger processes, processors, stronger computers, to where they can actually start learning, like, to be full blown humans,
Right.
or human intelligence and beyond, right?
Right. Absolutely. And I want to pivot over to the computer screen now. There's this artificial intelligence model called Dolly, and it's named after Salvador Dali, and it combines Wall-E the robot from the Pixar movie.
Mm,
They call it Dolly, and this whole project is around taking artificial intelligence and having it learn through a bunch of different training models and data that you feed it. I think there
right,
was over 100 million images used with captions associated with each that describe the images that this model trained off of. And they've gotten it to the point where there's two versions now. There's a Dolly 1, which we're going to test into right away. We're going to put in prompts to see what it gives
right,
us. But there's also Dolly 2, which is I believe under beta. There's a limited amount of people who can use it,
right.
but it gives even better results, even better than some humans who try to create prompts from the captions that are given.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
amazing. And so here's the webpage for those who are interested in learning more about Dolly. There's a public API available, which if you're a tech person and no code, you can integrate that API into your data. But just some examples here. I'm going to zoom in. These are some of the prompts that researchers have put into the model,
Right.
and these are some of the generated images that came out as a result. So this one says an illustration of a baby daikon radish in a tutu walking a dog, and those images right there are the images that this AI generated. It's mind blowing.
So it didn't pull images from the internet. It just like, well, I'm sure that's where it got the info, but
Mm-hmm.
these are unique images that it created based on the prompt it was given.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Here's another one. And I love how specific these are because it really tests the model and the accuracy of it.
Right.
An armchair in the shape of an avocado and all these different options.
Yo, they got like, that's versatile.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They got options.
And here's another one I found really interesting. A storefront that has the word Open AI written on it.
Okay.
So these are all computer generated. It looks real in some of these.
Yeah, and they've got different types of storefronts, I guess depending on the type of vibe and neighborhood that they're going for.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah, man.
cool.
And what happens is once it receives this information and it goes through the data that it's trained to learn, it goes through various phases of information to help create the final image that is displayed that the AI thinks that it's descriptive enough for us to understand what it is.
Well, this AI is it's created to be like a ultra efficient brain, but it's so efficient that it's like just it categorizes things differently than a human brain. So once it comes up with its final output, it needs to translate it back into like something that a human could understand.
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Yeah.
It's mind blowing too. So we're gonna take this for a little test drive here. There's this website called huggingface.co. They have the Dolly Mini, which is the first version of the Dolly available for you to kind of just run and
Right.
test things off of. So I have a couple of prompts that I had in mind, and I wanted to start off with an image of first Mexican American president of the United States of America giving a State of the Union address.
Oh wow. Okay, that's really specific. Okay.
We'll just see what happens.
Let's see what's good. Let's see what's good with it. I'm curious to see what pops out though. The ones that you were showing are crazy, man. The avocado thing, the storefront.
1 hour later.
Okay, let's see what we've got.
All right. So the prompt was first Mexican American president, and interesting images here. This looks like George Washington.
Yeah.
And like a painting, like I don't know. I don't know what kind of
a bunch of Picassos, man.
Yeah, and it's an unclear face. Like I guess it's not good at making faces.
It's like abstract art.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. What was your prompt?
Let's do Sausage playing football in a tutu, something random.
All right.
Let's throw it a curveball.
Yeah, crazy how it went straight to like the old, 16th century paintings.
Right.
I think we need to be less descriptive on that one.
Sausage playing football is good.
All right, so we got the result. Sausage playing football.
I like how they did a soccer ball when we typed in football.
Isn't that crazy?
Internationally, football is what we know as soccer in the US.
Yeah.
And
it did a fairly decent job.
Yeah, it even had look at that the sixth image. It even has another guy trying to stop him, like with a little open mouth.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's crazy that this was all computer generated based on what we put in now.
Right? That's like
you know what? I wonder if somebody else was to type this, and at a later time, or if we were to try it at a later time, if it would give the same images.
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is it just pumping and dumping the same thing every time, or is it learning and growing every time?
Right.
That's what I'm curious about. But
yeah. The one I want to touch on the bias and limitations note at the very end here. Oops. Zoom in here. Okay. While the capabilities of image generation models are impressive, they also may reinforce or exacerbate societal biases. While the extent and nature of the biases of the DALL-E mini model have yet to be fully documented, given the fact that the model was trained on unfiltered data from the internet, it may generate images that contain stereotypes against minority groups. That is just one thing that, again, reinforces the fact that whatever this model is trained off of,
right,
which is our own views, ideas, opinions, and reflection on what society looks like, it's going to be reinforced here.
That's good that they put that there, though,
right,
to, like, shed light on that.
Right. And just imagine the I guess the industries that would be affected with this kind of technology.
Right.
Like I mentioned, the DALL-E 2 is more advanced and has like better images that it produces. And they compared it to like some graphic designers as well. And it was pretty damn good. Like some of the prompts that it gave. And so that almost makes me think of like what that looks like for the future of creatives who work in like illustration or graphic design. They may have a tough time competing with somebody, from corporate who can type in like a prompt on the internet and get like an image for their asset and their own use.
Yeah. It might even be like, think about it like fast food, there's fast food and then there's like the mom and pop shop that makes burgers.
Right.
You could go get the burger at McDonald's, but it might taste better if you went to the mom and pop shop,
Right.
They make it like with passion and like it's their formula. It's not like just a cookie cutter formula across.
Right. Yeah. It might be like shoemaking too, how cobbling, the people, the cobblers are the people who make shoes and like repair them.
Right.
That art is almost completely lost now. It's hard to find a cobbler in the area. But yeah, really cool, really interesting stuff here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens, man. AI is cool, but also kind of scary.
Right.
We got to see what we do with it.
All right, we'll hop on to the next topic. Back to the office.
Yeah, man. So I've been noticing this trend on LinkedIn, just on social media, and just within, our friend group, really. A lot of companies are calling employees to go back to the office.
Right.
It's kind of like, quote unquote, and I say this with air quotes because it's obviously not the end of the pandemic, but it's almost like a lot of companies are starting to move like it's the end of the pandemic. Like, let's get back in the office at least a few times a week. And I think a lot of people aren't really with it, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've seen on the news, actually, the news around Apple and how people are pushing back on returning to the office. Top executives in critical departments like engineering are leaving in top companies because they don't feel like they need to go into the office to do their job. They've been doing it virtually for 2 years, and the flexibility that comes with that. I mean, you're not sitting in traffic for like an hour each way in some cases, right? Like you're saving those 2 hours a day and recovering and having that for your own time. You don't have to sit around and sit in like useless meetings that you're not contributing to. There's more efficiencies around working from home that I think it wasn't until companies were forced to put their employees virtually that they realized that it would have happened. Otherwise, like I don't think it would never have happened unless companies were forced to do it.
One thing I've noticed, at least in my company, that people are doing more is if their people are done with their deliverables for the week or for the day, they're like, I'm taking PTO the rest of the week, or I'm taking PTO the rest of the day, and I'll
Right.
be on call,
Oh,
you know? And I think that's cool because when we were in the office, it was, no, I'm going to be here from 8 to 5 every day, regardless if I have stuff to do. You can always find stuff to do, right?
mm-hmm.
You could just keep staying busy. But it's like, I don't need to do that.
Right.
That's not improving anything for the company. It's not doing anything for my career. And the company and myself are actually better off if I have some time to decompress so
Right.
that I can do my work in a, better state of mind.
Right. And a happier employee generates better results and are more productive generally
Yeah.
during working hours.
Exactly. And I actually saw a joke saying that like some middle managers
Mm-hmm.
actually want people to come back to the office because that's pretty much their job, is just to like micromanage people's work
Right.
for the most part. I don't think that applies to all middle managers or all companies, but I just saw that and I kind of laughed. I was like, man, that's crazy. And also that some egotistical like managers or leaders want people to be back in the office so they can like exert their power, kind of show off like, I'm the VP or I'm the leader here. Like
Right.
this is my corner office type thing. And I'm sure
Yeah.
like the majority of people aren't like that, but there's like a small,
Yeah.
subculture of people that want to get into leadership positions just so they could flex it. And you can flex it even better if you're in person, right? So
Yeah.
that was kind of weird, but
Yeah. Don't you think that whole because the whole time I've been working in corporate life or whatever,
right,
it's like, like you need to have this executive presence, but it turns out it's just bullshit. It's like
right.
you don't in order for you to be successful in your position, the presence doesn't need to be physical. It's like
No,
that executive presence is really only somebody's perception of how good a leader is. It
right.
really isn't the fact that they can actually lead an efficient and effective team.
For sure.
And that's the biggest realization that I have during this time.
Yeah. I will say though, I think it is a little harder to network if you're virtual because you actually have
Right.
to take that initiative to go make those connections. You're not just gonna run into someone at the water cooler or, on the way in the
That's
hallway or
true.
whatever. But I think if you're intentional with your career, you don't need to be in the office. I feel like if you're using the excuse of, oh, we need to go back into the office in order to network, you're just a bad networker and you need to stop making that excuse because you could take that initiative. You could set up, a virtual call with video, and it's pretty much doing the same thing.
Right.
I actually got this video, man. I thought it was kind of funny because there's a lot of jokes about virtual work and how virtual meetings are a little cringy. But let's watch this video real quick. I thought this one was really funny.
Okay, well, it's just gone 10 there now, Kevin. Will we kick off the meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me all right?
Yes?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I was looking at the marketing strategy globally for the digital products of... Is everything okay?
Yeah, all good my end.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying that the strategy we have at the moment is not as aggressive as it should be.
How he
I have a
leans in.
Is there a problem, Kevin?
This is
Yeah,
what
I
Darcy
can
does
hear you.
off camera.
Yeah, it's just you made a face when I was talking there.
Oh, God, you can see me.
And we don't got to watch
Yes.
this whole video, but I just thought that it was
Because
funny, that little clip about, the things that you do that we're just so used to now, working virtually, like, not having to like put on a face during a meeting, not having to actually like be present. I think that
Mhm.
that's cool, and that's something that a lot of people are gonna, push back on giving up.
Yeah, no, definitely. And for me, like I take advantage of every moment I have working from home because I have to
Yeah.
go into the office 2 days a week. And for me, it's 2 hours of a commute a day, which, I obviously like, having time with the people I work with,
Right.
and just having like those off screen like conversations to get to know them more personally.
Right.
But man, I love not having to drive that and just having to wake up and just go to the other room and log into work and do my thing.
Yeah, my team, we still meet like for lunch once a month and stuff. So I think that that's cool just to keep that camaraderie. And we get together. We don't talk about work. Obviously, we talk about just our personal lives and just catch
Yeah,
up. And I think that's nice and necessary too, because you do got to build at least some type of relationship with your coworkers, right? That's
for
outside
sure.
of just work stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I thought that was cool. I thought that was kind of an interesting topic. And a lot of our listeners, they work from home and they're part of this virtual work environment. So I know y'all can relate. If you're working from home and you ain't trying to go back to the office, man, let us know. Drop a comment. But
Next topic I want to talk about is college.
Ooh, okay.
You're going through that right now. You're getting your master's degree.
Yeah, man. Seattle U. I'm actually repping Wazoo right now. This is where I got my undergraduate degree in business.
Go
So go
Cougs.
Cougs. I know there's a lot of Cougs out there. But yeah, I'm getting my MBA at Seattle U right now. I actually just wrapped up my first year, man. Got a 4.0 GPA so far. Let's see if we can keep it up. Let's go.
Finger snaps for Max.
Let's go. Thank you. But yeah, and you got your MBA from WSU as well as your bachelor's degree. So
Right.
both of us have definitely been through the college ringer. We know what it's like to, be in them books and doing the tests and going through all that stuff. So we've seen the positives and the negatives of college. But the big question right now is college worth it?
Right.
What do you think?
So in my perspective, obviously we're biased because you're getting your master's and I have mine. So outside of that, I think college serves a great purpose for somebody like me who needs a foundation to work off of. Like growing up, my parents didn't work in like big corporations and having to deal with a lot of numbers. They haven't gone through like the college experience and understanding, networking and things like that. And so for me, I couldn't really rely on them for guidance, right? I couldn't, growing up, I didn't have any brothers living with me. So all of it was just kind of like working around this abstract idea of, yeah, I need to go to college and I know I need to get a job. And I think college is the way that I can get there. But if I just decided to skip college and just do my own thing, I would have failed way more. And I know like there's a cost associated with going to college and that's expensive too. But I feel like for me personally, that cost was worth it because I was able not only to network with people while I was in college and create great friendships like I've made with you, but I was also able to learn the fundamentals of things. And that's where college is really valuable.
Yeah.
And I took that to the next step of going to my master's degree to dial in on subjects that I needed to know more of to be successful, but it was already in areas that I knew I wanted to progress in.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a question for you. When you went into college, did you know you wanted to do business right away? And did you like dial into that and get it done in 4 years? Or were you kind of like undecided at first and like take longer?
That's a great question. I knew I wanted to do something in business because for me, in my simple mind back then, like I knew if I got a job in business, I could get a job in any company because you needed a business degree to work in a business, right? I didn't know what I was going to do exactly. So at first, like, it could have been accounting, it could have been economics, it could have been like a multitude of different things. But like those first 2 years are critical to understanding like what your lane is within that field.
Yeah.
But I feel for a lot of people who don't know like what to even start in, like
for sure.
There's some people that decide to go into theater and do that. And that's great. And then there's also people who just decide to pursue one thing and 2 years into it, they're like, oh, wow, I hate this,
Right.
And I feel for those people.
Yeah. And I kind of relate to you on the side of like, you got to know what you want to do right when you get into college. Because when I first started, I'm not going to lie, I wanted to do psychology at first.
Oh,
so
interesting.
I started WSU and I was like, man, I want to go into psychology. I want to help people. I want to have a platform where I can help people. Untapped Potential
Look at
Podcast.
where we're at now.
See, but it's crazy because it goes full circle, man. Because I wanted to go to college because I wanted to help people. But I realized that psychology was not going to be my best bet because I was a first generation college student.
Mm-hmm.
And in psychology, in order to be successful, you need a graduate degree most times.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, man, nobody in my family's gotten a bachelor's degree. How am I supposed to get a master's degree? So I was like, no, hold on. Let's chill. Let's choose a field that's more for sure. And then I'll figure out how to help people with it later.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to do business because in high school, I was already doing a little side hustles. And I was like, man, I could do a career in this because I find that interesting. I want to learn it by the book though.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started doing the business school, but I'm not going to lie to you, man. I wasn't passionate about what I was learning in college.
Right.
What I was passionate about was getting involved in organizations.
Mm-hmm.
So I got involved with the fraternity. I got involved with business organizations. I got involved with other events on campus that helped me mold into a leader and helped me gain a network of people that empowered me to become successful in other areas in my life. But the actual learning in a classroom stuff, I don't think it was of that much value, to be honest with you, because
Right.
even in my current job, I don't really use it that much.
Yeah.
So I think that the real value for me in college is the network that you get and the way that you take advantage of the opportunities in this unique environment where people are kind of like in this purgatory of growth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of being thrown straight into the workforce, you have 4 more years of growth.
Right.
And I think that that's the biggest value of college, not the degree.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
because I would not have been able to do any corporate job at 18 years old. Like,
For sure.
no way. I was
Yeah.
struggling in a call center, calling up people when I was working for like American Express during a college summer, and just like, man, like I can't even do that. You know, I wasn't prepared
Yeah.
for it. But yeah, I totally get where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, man. And I was on the executive board for organizations in college. And I think that's what gave me the confidence once I graduated and I joined, you know, corporate America.
Right.
That's when that's why I was confident when I was in those meeting rooms or leading meetings in corporate America, because I was doing it on a smaller scale in college.
Right.
You know, and I was meeting people with different perspectives, going different routes. And I still keep in touch with a lot of those people today. So I think, like, long story short, in my opinion, if you're going to college just to go to college and you don't know what you're going to get a degree in, it's actually still not that bad because you can still get a network. But if your plan is just to go there, pull out a bunch of loans and get a degree that's probably not going to pay off, college is probably not in your best interest. But if you know what you want to do, you know you're going to get a positive return on investment and you're going to take advantage of the opportunities, do it. If you're just
Yeah.
going to go party, get drunk, don't do it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
All right. This segues off to our next topic, the toughest part of creating a business or a side hustle. So we have a little bit of experience doing this side hustle. Growing up, you mentioned that you had experience doing your side hustles and things like that. I want to start off with you, like your experience in doing that.
Yeah, man. So, man, high school was a crazy time for me, man. Some of you people know, some of you people don't know. I used to like make music or whatever. I used to like rap a little bit. That was more of something like more of a passion project, something I like just genuinely like to do. But I actually used to have like a YouTube channel where we'd make like funny videos with my friends.
Oh, really?
And then we also started a clothing line. And like we actually sold a pretty good amount of like shirts at school when I was doing the music. I sold a lot of mixtapes. When we were doing the YouTube videos, we actually gained like up to like 400 subscribers. This was like freshman, sophomore year of high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we were doing things, you know, we never stayed committed to either one, but the fun of building something is what I liked. It's kind of something that I noticed, like, this is something that I could do. I like building stuff. I like
Mhm.
being strategic and like being part of the planning process for like a business, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about my experience. Yeah.
Yeah. That resonates with me too, because growing up in high school, I had a tough time getting a job because, and it's kind of like the, what do they call it? Like the catch-22, I think it is.
Right.
Yeah, where I couldn't get a job because I didn't have experience, but I didn't have experience because I couldn't get a job.
Right.
And I had a really tough time finding a job. It wasn't until like I was like after my 16th birthday, I was finally able to get a job. And it wasn't luxurious or anything. I mean, I don't think any of our first jobs are. I worked at Quiznos in Las Vegas. And I remember I was making $6 an hour back then. And after a
Wow.
full 2 weeks of work, I should say, my paycheck was something around like $350. And
That's
I was like, man, I was like, I need to do something else.
Right.
Because I cannot live off of $350 every 2 weeks, you know, like I can't, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what kind of like it reinforced my decision to go to college. But ultimately, you know, I knew coming out of college, I wanted to do something of my own, right? I didn't know what that was, but I needed experience first. And so I started off in the career, corporate field,
Right.
path. And I am very thankful for the experience I've gotten up until now because, you know, I learned so much about business, actually doing business, you know, like messing up on somebody else's dime was the real pleasure I've gotten of just working in the corporate life and just getting
Right.
all these different types of experiences under my belt. Because then ultimately, when I did start my business, it's dripped. For those of you who have been watching the podcast, you'll notice that I'm wearing, and sometimes Max is wearing, clothing items from the store. That's something I've been working on over the past 2 years or so, almost 3 years actually this
Right.
year. And it's a big passion project of mine. And I learned a lot through that business. I thought, so here's my background. I have an MBA. I graduated in 2013. And I thought, like, you know, my 9-10 years of experience I would just like kill it in a
Right.
side hustle. And man, like, what people don't know is it doesn't matter how much experience you have, you're gonna get punched in the mouth starting a business, dude, because
No
it doesn't
kidding.
matter if it's big or small. There's a lot that you have to understand of just how a business operates. And it's not as easy of just putting up a storefront, putting up a Facebook page or an Instagram page, and just like paying for ads. There's way more to that. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely way more. So
Yeah, man. And I've really learned a lot through you and your experience with Drip, because I've kind of been there on some steps of the way and stuff. And you've shared a lot of what you've learned with me. And man, it's a lot tougher than a lot of people think.
right.
And I learned that on a smaller scale when I was in high school. And we were trying to do a clothing brand. We'd run into all types of issues that now looking back at it, I'm like, we bit off way more than we could chew. Because we'd order shirts, right? We were like, okay, let's do 5 mediums, 5 larges, and 5 smalls, right? For example. And then all the mediums would sell out on day one. And then we're stuck with so many larges and so many smalls. And I'm like, bro, this is frustrating. Like, why aren't people ordering larges and mediums? And it's like, okay, maybe we need to like figure out, maybe we need to do a pre-sale to figure out what sizes to order first,
Right.
or, how are we going to do this? And like little things that you run into as a business owner that a lot of people don't consider. Tying it back to the podcast, a lot of people probably watch this podcast and they're like, oh man, I could do a podcast right now. And sure, you probably can. But man, it takes so much time and effort to
Oof.
start a podcast and to keep it consistent and to add to be a good podcast, because man, they're scheduling people. Sometimes they flake.
Mhm.
There's all types of like back end work to edit the video, edit the reels, make the captions, upload the reels every single day in and day out. And then trying to like just continue to create content that's engaging. And then also accepting the fact that sometimes you might make the best interview, the best content, and you're only going to get like 50 views on it.
Yeah.
And then just taking that, just taking that hit and just, you just got to keep walking with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's something that a lot of people don't consider, whether it's a podcast, a clothing business, or any type of side hustle. You're going to run into issues, you're going to run into obstacles, but you just got to keep going, man.
Yeah. And even thinking about some of the guests that we've had on this show and their experiences, like, you know, for example, promoting music.
Right.
Some people thought like, yeah, you know, I'm just gonna create an album, put it up on Spotify, and it's all gonna work. You know, I think a lot of people have this, you know, glamorized idea of what success looks like if they just tried something for the first time and did it. And in reality, you're going to have a lot of first tries to make that one thing work. And a lot of people aren't just accepting of that. They just think like, oh yeah, it's easy. Like anybody can do it.
Yeah.
Even creating a small business, like, oh yeah, dude, it's easy. Yeah, it's not easy. No matter what experience you have, wherever you come from, it's not easy, but you have to have the faith within yourself that eventually you're going to learn and improve enough that it is going to work and it is going to be successful. And you have to have that faithful belief, and it may take years to get there. And trust me, for a lot of people, it's taken years for them to get there. But that just blind faith of just continuing the pursuit of whatever they're doing, eventually will lead to success. But you got to also be realistic and adjust whenever necessary.
Yeah, just like don't relent your pursuit today, right?
Yeah,
Drip.
exactly.
Yeah, man. No, for real. But if there's people out there that are, starting a side hustle or doing something, no matter what it is, man, if you're running into obstacles, you just got to keep going, man. And don't let these obstacles like get to you. Don't let seeing us having like a successful podcast make you think like, oh man, like I can't do it myself. Cause honestly, you're seeing the most polished version of us. Everything that we put out, it took us hours, days. Go watch our first episode if you want to get some motivation, man, because it's way worse than this one. And when you watch season 6, like a few years from now, you're going to be like, wow, we're going to look back at this episode and be cringing. So just know that it's a process and just appreciate yourself and live for the journey. Don't live for the end result, because, social media is full of a lot of just wins and end products. Don't compare yourself to the end product and trust your process.
Truth. And with that, I want to talk about our favorite moments of this season. I think this is obviously season 4. it's been over a year of us doing this.
Season 3.
Season 3, gosh.
Almost season 4.
Almost season 4. Season 3, over a year of doing this just
Yeah.
straight. And yeah, man, I want to talk about some of the moments over the past 15 episodes that you've enjoyed the most.
So one of the moments that really stood out
You were
to
gonna do in the
me
future.
was our episode with Lucas Pinto. He is the CEO of Lucas Pinto Real Estate Group. Great guy, man. He shared a wealth of knowledge with us. And I really like this clip right here where he talks about starting from the bottom.
Have a plan what you were gonna do in the future at that point?
Dude, that's the interesting thing, because I see a lot of young people today in their early 20s, and they put so much pressure on themselves to have it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, like we were talking about this 10 years ago, I had no clue
Mm-hmm.
who or what
Yeah.
I wanted to be. Real estate wasn't even an idea at that point.
Wow.
The go at the time was, okay, I'm serving. Damn, a bartending job makes $50K a year. That's what I
Mhm.
want to do. So that, like, the goal was just like become a bartender. I knew from a young age that I wanted to get the money situation sorted out.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how though.
Did you already have a plan what you were gonna
See,
do?
I really like that clip because I feel like that's just reassuring to a lot of young people. You know, myself, I'm in my mid-20s now. And I remember when I was in my early 20s, and even still now, sometimes I second guess my path. I'm like, man, am I really doing what I'm passionate about? Like, is this a route worth going down? Like, am I going to be successful? Am I successful for my age group? And, you know, I think that that's just so reassuring to hear someone else who is successful say that. Like, you know, I was 20, I was bartending. My next goal was to become, you know, the next level, you know? And I was like, man, I feel like that's such a positive like mentality to have, you know, is like you could be in a certain situation, but you can always level up, and you just gotta have tunnel vision for what's next, and you can't let like little obstacles get in the way.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Lucas's episode was really great this season because obviously he's somebody who's sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of homes, and so
Yep.
from that perspective of managing a business that large is fantastic to have. And I feel like a lot of young people too, they get caught up with the fact that they're like, I want to get this type
Yeah.
of car, or I want to get this type of money, but no real like purpose around like the things that would get them to be there, you know? I think from there, like people like to take shortcuts and like to cut around corners, and eventually that pushes them off the path that they should be on.
Yeah.
And what Lucas said is he was really intentional. He knew he wanted to make more money and figure out that money situation, but he realized that he had to build his own skills in order to get there.
Right.
And that would get him to the next level that he got, but he was never satisfied. And so he continued to build new skills in order to achieve what ultimately is the result 10 years later of this big achievement of his, which is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. You're only as successful as your mindset.
Exactly.
know?
Exactly. Yeah.
I really like that one. Another one that really stood out to me was
Whole life,
Muhammad,
you know what I mean?
man.
Not
This guy's
knowing
whole
English-
interview hit me right in the soul, man. I related a lot to his story. I was really empowered by his story. But I really like this clip here where he's talking about turning challenge into triumph.
When things got tough, just like my whole life, you know what I mean? Not knowing English, like I said in the beginning, you know, when I came to America, making friends, being part of leadership, being a school board representative when I was 16, I was like, man, like the true essence and beauty of just believing in yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
And when no one believes it, when no one sees it for you, when you see it in yourself, that goes such a long way. So that was the first time I was like, when I'm devastated, I could turn a challenge into a triumph. When things got tough,
See, I
just like
really
my whole life.
loved this clip, man, because it spoke to me personally, man. I came to the U.S., first generation immigrant. I honestly didn't know English very well until like probably second or third grade, to be honest with you. And, you know, I faced a lot of struggles, a lot of like personal issues growing up, like mental health stuff. And, you know, I've had a lot of challenges, really. But, you know, like when he said, you know, when no one sees that value in you, but when you see it in yourself, like no one can take that away from you. And I remember having moments like that, like in high school and middle school, when I felt like the world didn't really see the value in me. And like I saw my circumstances. I was like, man, I'm just like, to be honest, like a poor kid from a small town. Like if I don't get off my ass and go get it, no one's going to give it to me. But I know if I go out there, I can get anything I want, man.
Yeah.
And I really like that he said that, because man, when he was saying it, I was like, man, I relate to that in my soul. And I'm just so glad that we can bring on guests that like remind me of my own journey.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, shout out to Muhammad.
Shout out to Muhammad, man.
The last clip that
And I'll-
really
and I'll
stood
go
out
ahead
to me was Leo, man. Leo was another great story that I can relate to a lot, man. He's an artist from the Dominican Republic. He makes Latino urbano music. And man, he just you could tell this guy has a lot of passion for what he does, and he shared a lot of gems. And right here he's talking about how instant success is fake.
What I always tell, and I'll go ahead and say here for anybody that's listening, if anybody promise you instant success, it's a scam.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not, success doesn't work that way. It takes hard work and dedication.
Yeah.
Anybody can. For me, for example, right now at this moment, I'm at 20,000 monthly listeners, but that took me, a couple months of going up. And I was happy when it was at 2,000. I was happy when it was 5,000, and I'm happy now. And I just keep enjoying, every single growth that I get. But at least I know that it's 100% me. And what I always tell,
what I really liked about this clip is you could tell that Leo is just a humble guy, who works hard and he really loves what he does. And like, you could tell, like, when he says, like, I was thankful for the 500, the 1,000, the 2,000. Now, he's up to, in the tens of thousands of monthly listeners. And he's not letting the numbers get to his head. He's not letting that drive his decisions.
Right.
And I think that's the powerful thing, because at the core of his creativity is his passion for the art and not the clout. I feel like in this generation, we got a lot of clout chasers. We got a lot of people that are doing stuff because they just want the numbers. The numbers are nice, and I can relate that to what we're doing with the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I love that we're getting like the, thousands of followers, the, whatever, the likes and all of that. But none of that means anything to me if I'm not passionate about this anymore. And that's one thing I'm super thankful for with this platform is I'm still passionate about it. I love doing this with you, bro. I love bringing on people. I love having these conversations. And I really like that Leo has that same mentality for his music.
Right. We got to stay true to ourselves and know that we're on the right path, right?
Yeah.
And, like with our stuff, like, yeah, we could do like the goofy TikTok dances or whatever that are on trend, but that's not true to us. That's not what we want to do. And ultimately, I don't think really successful people buy into the idea that they have to replicate what others think that they should do. They are on their own path and they're fully committed to their own vision. And it may be years down the line, kind of like we were talking about earlier, but they're fully committed and they enjoy each step of the process, and they don't allow other people to dissatisfy them based off of their perceptions or judgments. And that's really important.
Exactly. It's like, if I go viral, I'm cool with going viral for something I enjoy doing, but I'm not going to go out of character just to go viral. That's selling out in my opinion.
Exactly. All right. Well, my top three, we'll go over to my top three here. I really liked our roundtable talk when we had with the one we had with Carlos.
Yeah, that was a good one.
This segment is talking about the other life in the universe. Spinning around who knows what the that thing was. We just can't just be here and no one else around us, like no other civilization, you're telling me, and like however many trillions of years this universe has been around, like there's nothing. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be something out there. Just looking at that picture of the known universe, it's like, dude, there's so many stars out there. How can we be the only ones revolving around this one?
Right. Like, I mean, just look at it like planet Earth. It's so small in the universe, but look at how many different types of life there is just on this planet.
Right.
Right. We got life that can survive in water, that can fly. You got us that can like build stuff. We got so many insects, bacteria, trees. Like, I can go on forever probably. So many different types of life that survive just here on Earth. What makes us think that there isn't life that can survive another condition?
Man, we were passionate about the topic.
I know, right? And what I love about this is it wasn't our traditional interview. We wanted to go out and try different segments. And I think even though this may be completely different to what other people may be watching and are used to like our content being, we also have to evolve and adapt and figure out what new things work for us too. And this was a really good example. We have these offline conversations of the universe and stuff like that. But to actually be able to put it in to video format into our podcast, and not only that, bring on a guest that joined us literally for one of the first episodes of our first season here, was really special because we got to have that interaction and that just overall genuine conversation.
Yeah. And I mean, I like that we do it because it's like our reason is because it's fun.
Right.
Because we like to talk about stuff like that. And I think a lot of people like to listen to stuff like that too. And That's the beauty of these roundtable talks.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, my next one. This one is a really special one. We had Michael Bumpus join us. For those of you who didn't watch the episode with him on it, go back and do it because it's worth watching. Michael Bumpus is a former Seahawks NFL player. He also was a really prolific athlete for Washington State University back in the mid 2000s.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. And this is his story about life after the NFL and some of the challenges he faced around finding his true purpose.
I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? I've done this my whole life. I'm supposed to play 10 years in the league and make millions. Like, what's up?
Yeah.
And we just need money. So I apply to Pepsi. I'm like stocking soda and selling it to stores and stuff. Yeah. And I'm going through the store with my Pepsi gear on and people are stopping me. Hey, Bumpus, didn't you know, and like making a scene and stuff. But I'm like, shit, I got to do what I got to do, you know, to support my family. So I'm doing that. I'm already training athletes on the side, like on the weekends and stuff. And I just told Jen, I go, man, I'm done. Because I was done playing ball. And I'm like, all right.
So I think that was a really important experience too. I don't think we showed the second part of this. There was a second part of it.
Right.
But just like going from such a big career, big moment, and something that he's been working for his entire life got cut short because of an injury that was outside of his control. And just having to go back and understand his, like, realize like, okay, like what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Mm-hmm. And for those that don't know, Michael Bumpus and his wife eventually ended up creating a company called Elite Training Academy. And they have a big network of athletes that work with them. So they grew a really successful business after that experience. But it's just that moment that I think all of us have throughout our lives around questioning what our true purpose in life is.
Yeah, man. Bump had such a powerful story. And honestly, I was going to choose this clip too, but I had a feeling you were going to choose it. So I was like, I'll go with another one. But yeah, man, I think it's so powerful when someone can pivot, a tough situation into a positive. And, he's a clear example of that.
Absolutely. All right. And my last one is, this one was one of my favorite episodes too. All of them are great. But I think what I really loved about this is the energy that we had during this conversation.
For sure. It's funny because we just met Mexi Jake, like when we did this interview. We had never met before, but like we were having a conversation like if we already knew each other, like we were homies.
I'm like, they killed our king. They see that whack. And then like everyone, this guy said like everyone's like, oh my gosh, like what the heck? Like all pissed off and shit.
You wet him?
Because I wet him. It was summer. It was freaking summer. You're at a show, like come on, like. And then so this guy comes up after me, to me after. He's like, hey bro, like yeah, you got everyone wet. I don't think they like that. Damn, shouldn't have done that. And then I'm like, nah, you're fine. And Big C's is like, oh, it's fine. Don't worry, bro. You're in the moment. And then when we're packing up to leave, there's this guy who came up to me. He's like, hey, man, good performance. I'm like, hey, thank you, man. I don't like the way I don't like that you threw water at me, though. I thought that was disrespectful. I was like,
the little clips that you add, man.
Dude, I'm sorry, man. I was in the moment. He's like, it's cool, but, don't do that again. I was like, come on, man.
Yeah, man. The clips, in addition to the clip, it makes it. I think it just shows the emotion. Yeah.
Yeah, no, man. I think the Mexi Jake interview was one of my favorites because it was like we were interviewing him about his life. So it was a serious interview, right? But at the same time, we just had like a playful energy throughout the whole time because that's just the vibe that we had in that interview.
Right.
And I thought that was cool, because a lot of people think like, oh, it's an interview-based podcast. These guys are probably like getting deep and like talking about like traumatizing times or like deep life circumstances. Sometimes it's just playful, man. Sometimes it's like sharing a story about throwing water at the crowd or, like funny times in people's lives. And I think that's cool, that we got such a versatile podcast. One of our guests actually told us that today. He's I was looking through your guys' interviews and it's really hard to like put you guys in a box because you guys have so much different types of content. You guys have interviewed like everybody from A to Z, and I think that's cool. And I'm happy that's where we've taken this.
Yeah, and I'm glad people recognize that too because we're not just a real estate agent interview podcast. Like
we've done a lot of real estate.
We have done a lot of those, and we're not just like a Seattle artists one either.
Right.
We want to interview visionaries, like people who do literally everything. They could be artists. Could be business owners, they could be real estate agents, but there's so much talent in one city we don't get enough representation, enough exposure on the internet. And that's what we've set out here to do in creating this podcast, is to bring that to life. And so I'm really proud of the people that we brought on, the energy that we had on each interview, each episode, and ultimately where this is taking us.
For sure. It's been a solid season, man. Season 3 blew my expectations out of the water, man. I'm excited for season 4, 5, 6, season 100, man. We're coming. We're coming hard. Yeah. What? Pause, but yeah, we're about to get it.
Hell yeah. And let's keep it going, guys. If you guys like our podcast, like this episode, if you guys love these types of segments, the roundtable talks, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, comment below what you guys think. And thank you once again for joining us for season 3. We'll see you again in the fall.
Peace.
Peace.